going on, guys? Junior's Fishing Company with the first today. I was out buying baits, as one does when you're obsessed with tying and fishing, and I came across something new. Forward-facing sonar is like the rage. Whether you love it, whether you hate it, I can't afford it, so I don't have it. If I could afford it, I probably would. So I'm not going to sit here and hate on people who have it, or say everyone needs it. But I found this Z-Man product. It's a graph Shad, and it's designed to use with forward-facing sonar. And I got kind of curious. I know before I go any farther, some people, I'm going to tie on this instead of using the plastic. And I think somewhere it even talks about all this stuff on the back and the front, but it talks about the plastic, I think, is a little more conducive to the beam or whatever. So I get it. I took off the plastic. It might not flash as well. I have a buddy who's got forward-facing sonar, so maybe I can test this out with that. This is a 3/16, but the one I'm going to tie on today is a 1/4. And so what I really just tried to do, it came with two of these little plastics. And this one, I can't remember the color of this one. This white is just pearl. This is probably some sort of shad or something like that. It's mostly silver, and it's got a little bit of black. Just a classic. You look up shad bait on Google, and most of them are probably going to be gray, white, clear, black, with a little bit of sparkle. And so I just kind of wanted to mimic this. This is a super weird hook. And there's no eye on this. You have to tie through these little holes, which I'll have to figure out at another time. But I really am just going to try and mimic this. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I had to figure out, did I want to just do like a bucktail, where it kind of tapers off to a little point, or did I want to actually try to copy this forked tail? And I'm going to try my best. And so I'm using a new product. I've had these sitting around for a while. I don't think I've done a video with these. I've made little tails before using hackle feathers and stuff like that. But these are Fly Skins Thin Finz, medium. And this is, I'm guessing, this is clear or white, or maybe they come in different colors. I can't remember. But I'm going to tie two of these on. Now what I had to do, there's a little bit of this lead that's sitting here, and it was kind of serrated for the soft plastic to kind of fit into. And so what I did was I filed that down on both sides to make it flat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie two of these little tails in, and hopefully I might have to end up gluing them together so they make one tail. I just think this would be too flimsy and with one, so I'm going to put two on. And I just colored the tips of these little fins, just the top tip, black, just to add a little bit of pizzazz to this bait. And then I'm going to do just gray and black bucktail with just a little bit of flash. I just had to figure out, really, I'll get my 210 UTC down there. This is going to be a little bit tricky because this hook and this weight, all of this is so weird. Someone thought really hard about where to put all this stuff. They don't just, start pumping out tens of thousands of baits in hopes that they'll work. So someone thought pretty hard about this. I'm going to tie these on. I'll just tie them on really one at a time. There's a little tie tab on here. If I wanted this tail shorter, I could obviously just cut this wherever I want, but I'm just going to tie it where the tab lines up flush with this lead. And I'm just going to kind of wrap on there. Maybe I'll actually push a little bit past, and then what I can do is I'll wrap up to there, and then I can just fold this back, and that'll kind of, you see some people do that with feathers. You just kind of wrap it back, and it'll kind of double the strength of it. it's not going to pull out as easily. And I just want to make sure that this black little tip is going to be on top. It doesn't have to be. It could definitely be on the bottom. You can do whatever you want. I just thought of it being on top, so I did it on top. And I'm going to try my darndest to make sure that these tails, I mean, that is about as close as I could probably get. Maybe that looks pretty darn good. I mean, if that's not close enough, then you're taking too long. I talk too much, so I'm not going to take too long to do that. And then I'll fold this back just to make sure. And then I'll put a little bit of super glue down just for giggles, right? Make sure that that's all down there. And again, that hook point is right there, so you do have to be a little bit careful. I'm not going to put any bucktail on this weird lead wraps, and you can see it kind of ended up being kind of a nice thing, and there's no big random bumps or anything. I'm not going to have a ton of room for all this bucktail. The only thing I'm going to make sure with this bucktail is that I don't go past. I'll just get some of that glue off. I don't feel like stopping. I'm going to make sure that this bucktail does not go past really where the fin starts. I don't want that bucktail to go too much past that. And instead of thinning this out, I can kind of just take out. This is super curly, and I usually would prefer on a jig like this to have it be straight. That's just my personal preference. So I'll just go about right there. So I'm going to trim off a lot of this. It's not going to be, some 7-inch bait. So what I'm going to do is really this first one, I'm going to kind of go 360 with this bucktail. And then with my last two stacks that I'm going to do not simultaneously, but they'll be together, is I'll put the black on top and that gray on the bottom. And so, again, weird hook. I'm going to try and get this spun around as much as I can, so I can kind of just, you're going to be able to see through it. This is not some hefty stack of bucktail. Very, very minimal amount. And then I'll just kind of wrap my way up. And I'm going to put some flash down here. So I've got this holographic flashabou. I've used it a bunch in videos. It's probably my favorite flash, and it just matches perfectly with the glitter in here. It's holographic flashabou Moonlight. And so I'm just, again, I don't want to go too close to those tails. If it goes a little bit past, that's okay. But I would prefer those little fins to kind of be on their own and do their own thing. And so I'm going to keep all of this relatively down. I'll get this tinsel trimmed off. I'll put some on the bottom as well, because those plastics do actually have quite a bit of glitter in them. I'll turn this, and again, I'm going to just measure this out, maybe a little bit shorter. Then I'll just trim this off, and I'll just tie this right on top with a loose wrap. Just get everything down where I want it. And I can grab a couple pieces and pull them on each side. And just, it doesn't have to be perfect 360. That flash is going to show no matter where you put it. So now these last two little bits of bucktail, I'm going to put this black in. And again, I'm just mimicking really this soft plastic. You can see that it goes about halfway down. I'm going to cut off probably half or more of this black. But that's what the bait looked like, and so that is what I have to do to copy it, right? Now, make sure you put this on top. I almost didn't. And I'll just pinch this really tight. I just want this on top. And the reason I'm using black first is because if that black kind of rotates onto the sides, I can use that gray to cover it up. Whereas if I did the black second, then I'm kind of at the will of where that black turns. I'm just going to get a couple tight wraps. I'm just pinching that right on top. And then I can kind of just make sure that it goes to both sides of my hook. I'll get that kind of combed over. And it's just a short little... It was a decent amount of black, but it's not going to appear that way because it's so short. And now I'm going to take my gray, which is a little bit thicker, but again, it's going to be short. And so I didn't want to lose a ton of, some of that bulk I wanted. It's easy to have a bulky, soft plastic because what you see is what you get in terms of plastic. It's not shrinking in the water. And so I'll just I want a little bit shorter than that first one I put in. Again, I'm cutting off. I'm glad I'm not using my white good hair because it'd be kind of sad to cut that much off. I have this little, I don't know if that circle is for adding a blade or something like that to make it more of an underspin, but it definitely is getting in my way. I actually almost thought about cutting it, but I'm hoping if I get some good pressure on this hair, it's gonna slip right past that circle anyway, and so I won't have to worry as much about it. And then I'll just kind of pinch this gray up to even it out. Well, I'll pinch this one down, I guess, to even it out with that black. And that black should just be on top. I mean, that might be half of the bait in circumference or whatever it would be. And then I'll just kind of tie that off. I'm going to get this trimmed up because I've got a bunch of little hairs that are kind of sticking everywhere. And that's pretty much it. All right, so there you have it. You've got your graph shad fly. I think I'm going to really like these tails, these fly skin thin fins. Say that 5 times fast. But really short bait. It's going to kind of get a pretty small when it gets wet. Is it going to read as well on forward-facing sonar? I don't know. Maybe drop a comment. I can convince my wife to let me buy a forward-facing sonar because I gotta test this and see if it actually works. But the next thing I gotta do is I gotta figure out how on earth you rig this bait. Fortunately for the needy like me, they it says scan here, and I'm sure it'll be a YouTube. It'll probably bring you to YouTube and show you how to do it, how to rig it up. But I'm actually kind of excited. It's a really, really cool bait. I really like the head of this bait. It's really realistic. 1/4 ounce, perfect weight. 3/16 is this other pearl one. But a nice, small profiled bait, regardless of forward-facing sonar. I'm really looking forward to trying this bait. Shallow, rocky, wherever. I think this is going to be one that gets bit. Junior's Fishing Company. Like and subscribe. Drop some comments below. We'll see you on the next one.